Welcome back to installing SQL Server Database Engine. When we last left the demonstration, we had just finished the pre-preparation process of the standalone SQL Server instance. So we now have the binaries for the SQL Server database installed on the box. We now need to configure them through the completion process. While as part of this demo, I'm going to use the same virtual machine, in a production environment, you would have shut down your template and saved it as a template, and then deployed it to a new VM. You would now boot the new virtual machine up, log into it, launch the SQL Server Installation Center, and click on the Advanced tab, bringing you back to the screen that you now see in front of you. We would then click on the image completion of a prepared standalone instance of SQL Server option. When the installation screen comes up, the first thing we see is a rule check to make sure that we've actually got all the necessary components installed and that we're not missing anything. We don't need to restart the server, and that we have the appropriate permissions. These are basically the same checks that were done before. Click OK, and we move on in the process. We do yet another rules check. We see the same firewall and .NET application security rule warnings that we saw before. Those can be ignored because we know what they are based on our previous experiences in some of these demos. We see the consistency validation for the keys is passed. We see that we're not running on domain controller and that we're not a WoW64 platform. Click Next. We enter in a product key. We agree to our license terms. And we can then select the instance that we wish to install. There can be multiple instances on the box that are unconfigured, and we're selecting by instance ID here. So if we had already configured the first one, we could then go in and select the second one and move forward. The default is already selected. That's the one we want to work with. So we click Next. We review the features. We can't make any changes here. We're simply reviewing the features that are available. We now give our instance a name, or we select the default instance ID. We're going to go ahead and use the default instance ID, so it's going to simply be an instance named MS SQL Server. We then click Next. We set the security that we want to use. We can also set the collation how we want to set it. In this case, I'm just going to leave everything as the default, although we could set domain account and a different collation had we needed to. We then set the security for our instance. In this case, we're going to use Windows authentication. I'm going to add myself as the administrator. We can verify the data directories, changing them if we want to. We're going to use the C:\MSSQL folder that we saw in a previous version of this demonstration. We're going to leave file stream disabled as we're not going to be using it, and we can simply click Next. We don't need to send any error reporting information to Microsoft, so we can click Next. We can verify the rules have been passed, and these are just 3 basic rules that are going to be checked, making sure that we're not doing an upgrade, a downgrade, or that the file system is FAT32. We click Next. We verify the settings. Our config file is available again. Now this config file can be useful. What we can do is then take this config file, save it back to our master gold image, and use this config file to automate the process of going through this half of the wizard so that we don't have to actually go through the GUI every single time. We can then click Complete. It will then complete the imaging process, getting this instance up and running and ready to be used. Once this is complete, the service will be up and running and we'll be able to log into it, creating databases or restoring any databases that we need to restore. Once the image completion operation is finished, you'll see that it succeeded successfully. You'll get a log so you can review any bootstrapping information or any errors that came up if there were any. We can then simply click Close, and our installation is now complete. So in summary, we have a variety of different options to meet whatever requirements you have when it comes to building systems. We can either do one-off installations by using the GUI, or we can use the command line install to automate the process and get the exact same installation every single time. Not every one of these installation options is going to fit your needs. If we need to guarantee a repeatable process, using the GUI probably isn't the best option. If we need a quick and easy way to install SQL Server because it's our first time, going through the command line process probably isn't the best introduction to the installation process. When building new servers that are going to be used in production, use a repeatable process whenever possible. This will give you a more consistent environment to work in and make your life a whole lot easier moving forward.